The Supreme Court has ruled to allow the Trump administration to revoke humanitarian parole for over 500,000 immigrants.
Over 500,000 people that were allowed into the country by the Biden administration under a program known as humanitarian parole. These people did not have legal status in the country. This was, to be sure, a temporary program granted by the Department of Homeland Security on a discretionary basis. During the Biden years, the justification was to relieve some of the strain at the border, to vet these people that were coming into the country, allow them in for humanitarian reasons. Likely, the administration said at that time, because many of these people would be eligible to stay in the country.
That is ABC's Devin Dwyer. Immigration attorneys in Utah say their clients are starting to lose hope.
Humanitarian parole protections have been allowed for people coming from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela since 2022. Since then, over 500,000 people have taken advantage of the program, most to apply for asylum, says immigration attorney Sergio Garcia. Garcia says he's had calls all month from clients who have been worried about their status, and now this morning he says many are starting to feel hopeless. He says the parole allowed many of them to get work visas that allowed them to work and open businesses, something many might give up on now. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
A woman died overnight after crashing a stolen car in Taylorsville. Police say the 35-year-old Casey Reboloso was driving a car stolen from Layton, drove away from police when they tried to stop her. Police say this ended at 500 West when Reboloso crashed into two other vehicles and was taken to the hospital where she died. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow up by 47 points, sitting at 42,267. S&P 500, it's down by 10 points, and the Nasdaq down by 115 points. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
Quiet on the roads. Valley Freeway traffic rolling along and looking good. Our main secondary is also in good shape. Crews wrapping up a crash at 2100 South and 5th East. Create a sanctuary in the yard with bedding plants from Olson's Greenhouse. Locally grown quality flowers to adorn containers on the porch, beds, or patio. For tips and ideas, visit OGG.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hot for the weekend. Highs in the 90s. Not a chance of rain. Things changing big time on Monday, though. The temperature dropping by about 20 degrees and a 60% chance of showers. 83 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Repair or replace your roof now during S&S Roofing's huge spring sale. 12 months interest-free financing. The highest value roofing job in Utah. Dial pound 250 and then say S&S Roofing.
At Trio Senior Living, older adults aren't slowing down. They're just getting started. The Prime Fit Wellness Program expands wellness beyond the gym into every aspect of community life. Whatever your goals, the team at Trio Senior Living has got your back, so you can put your best foot forward. Call 801-475-4004 today to schedule your personal visit.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
Hot temperatures this weekend, about a week earlier than normal. The sudden warm-up could pose a greater risk to you and your family's health. Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We've been warning you about the high temperatures all week, and now they're here. Chances are that you're going to want to get outside and spend some time in the sunshine, or maybe you'll want to break away to the mountains where it'll be a little bit cooler. Either way, you need to watch out for your health and safety and the health and safety of those around you. That's the heart of today's story. Dr. Tom Nelson, Medical Director of Intermountain Medical Center's Emergency Department, spoke to KSL5 TV's Andrew Adams about the heat and how you can stay safe during the high temps this weekend. Now, Dr. Nelson says the symptoms that you should watch out for in case the heat does get you, they're pretty basic.
Some of the warning signs, again, very common sense. If you get lightheaded, if you feel your heart racing, if you feel nauseous, these are signs that you should stop what you're doing, take a break, find shade, get some water. The really ominous signs is if someone's outside and they're exerting themselves too strenuously. If you start to get confused, or if you see someone else who's getting confused, that's very worrisome, and you might want to seek medical attention for that. And the most feared complication is heat stroke. So if someone gets really altered, or if they actually stop sweating, that's a sign that you should get to an emergency department.
Okay, but what about those of us who might really be getting outside for the first time this season and think that we're just out of shape? How do you distinguish between those symptoms and symptoms of heat stroke or something similar?
It can be tough to delineate, is this just me getting back in shape, or is this a heat-related illness? The real triggers would be if you're starting to feel lightheaded, if you start to feel nauseous, and you're exercising in the heat. It's really advisable that you should take a break, get hydrated, find some shade.
Dr. Nelson says the heat can be more dangerous in situations like we're in right now, where it heats up rather quickly.
When the temperatures really fly up quickly, we're just not used to it. We see the beautiful skies outside, and we want to be outside, recreating, hanging out with our friends. But our bodies haven't really acclimated yet, and we might push it too far too fast. So really just slowing down, taking your time, staying hydrated, wearing sunscreen, seeking shade when you need it. If you do these things, it'll be worth it in the long run.
He says time of day is also something to keep in mind as you do things outside.
As much as you can recreate and get outside in the early morning hours or the later hours when it's not quite as hot is sage wisdom.
Another warning from Dr. Nelson, check in on those around you to make sure that they are doing okay in the heat.
Every year we always try to remind people to keep an eye on those around them. So the really susceptible populations are the very young and the very old. Check in on your neighbors. Folks don't have air conditioning, make sure that they're doing okay. And under no circumstance should you ever leave children or pets in a car. Cars can heat up so quickly, and we see devastating tragedies every year, so please don't do that.
KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says we'll be well into the mid-90s this weekend, but there will be some reprieve next week. Unfortunately, it won't be as big a storm as originally forecasted.
I've got a chance for thunderstorms on Monday, high of 78. It's mostly cloudy, 72, maybe a shower on Tuesday, and then that thing's out of here. I think a lot of the action with our storm now, or so models have been trending this way. I think it's going to stay in southern and eastern Utah for your Monday, maybe even into Tuesday. But things have significantly changed on the model front, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. But the trend is definitely to the south.
This sudden hot snap is not helping Utah's drought situation. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff spoke with the Utah Division of Water Resources Drought Coordinator Laura Haskell. She says nearly 50% of the state is already experiencing drought conditions, but she says there is some good news.
Our reservoirs are actually doing quite well. They're at pretty good levels right now, mostly higher than they would be this time of year, especially in the northern half of the state. Be careful. Just be aware of your water use, because we do use those for recreation, even though they are for our water source. They're great for recreating, and we don't know how many years we're going to need those, if next year will be as dry as this year or not. So go out and enjoy those and do what you can to keep the levels high.
She says there are some ways to save water that most people don't think about it.
Yeah, one of the things is when you buy new appliances, when you buy a new washing machine, when you buy a new dishwasher, make sure that they are water efficient. It typically doesn't increase the cost very much. There are some rebates at that slowtheflow.org website for water efficient toilets. If you have an older toilet that's using more water, you can switch that out. So these projects, as you're replacing things, you can do that, or you can take it on as a project. And another thing is in our yards, there are some really beautiful examples of more native plants and yards around Utah. Kentucky bluegrass is not necessarily the best thing to grow in Utah, yet a lot of us have it. And so changing out our landscaping, you can change out that strip between your sidewalk and the road and get a rebate for doing that to help offset some of the costs of that.
Plus, Haskell and Michael Sanchez with the Utah Division of Water Resources say local scaping will help homeowners save money while at the same time beautifying their yards.
We do encourage people to do the local scaping. That's what we're calling it. We're wanting to use plants that are around the area that are developed. They've grown over the years and years to get deeper roots to really thrive where we are, rather than going out and saying, oh, this plant looks really nice, but it's going to have really shallow roots and I'm going to have to give it 5 gallons of water a day just to keep it alive. So encouraging plants that look amazing but are more conducive to where we live.
And I can add something to that really quick as well, Dawn. So we do have the landscape incentive program, and within that program, we require around a 50% plant coverage. So that's really getting at that we really want native plants, and we want this plant coverage because we don't want it to just be rocks and the skull and wagon wheel and all that. So we really want that plant coverage.
And the state does have a long-term plan in place.
We have projects, we have things that we're doing, we have a long-term planning. Also, actually, the amount of water that we're using is going down a little bit per person. Not as, we can still do better, we can always do better, but we are using kind of roughly the same amount of water for less people. Another thing we're doing is it's called Growing Water Smart, where we are asking cities, as they're doing their zoning, as they're doing their big master plans of how they want their community to look, we say, take water into consideration. Understand how your water use, your water needs, your water availability comes in to planning how your city is going to look, because how you grow is affected by water.
Laura Haskell is the drought coordinator with Utah Division of Water Resources. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on how some youth are cleaning up Utah's waterways in just 60 seconds.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent from Alpine Home Medical, and I'm humbled to win Utah's Best of State for 2025 for the 15th year in a row. After 28 years, we're all about you. Over 1,700 5-star Google reviews and a 4.8 customer satisfaction score to prove it. We'll keep working hard for you. I've spent this year advocating with lawmakers for better Medicare reimbursement, ensuring you always have the best access to medical supplies you need. From Idaho Falls to St. George, our 11 stores are your home for comfort. When you hear Alpine Home Medical, think of that best of state experience every single time. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
As the school year wraps up, some young students are getting out into the community, hoping to make a difference with their classmates. Students at Redeemer Lutheran School took their drive for community service to the Three Creeks confluence in the Salt Lake Valley, hoping to clean up some of the streams that flow into the Jordan River.
In our 5th and 6th grade science class, we've studied water and waterways, so this is like the perfect putting our head knowledge and our hands to work with what we've learned this year.
That is Lorian Custer, math and science teacher at the school. She says the purpose isn't just to clean up the stream one day, but to be better stewards of the earth always.
It's more than just today. It really is. We want them to be able to take these skills and this appreciation for God's beautiful creation with them for the rest of their lives. If they're in a park on a Saturday with their friends, hopefully they see a piece of trash and think, hey, I should be picking that up. Or they can get out into the garden and help their parents weed a little bit. But it's all about taking care of our community, beautifying the area we live, and taking care of the Salt Lake Valley.
Custer says this project allowed the students to get out into the community and to make a difference.
So far, a lot of our service projects have been either on campus or near our school. So this is one where we've really gotten off campus, out into the community. The kids were excited. They heard they might be getting wet. So just doing something a little different. They've never worn those vests before. You know, it's exciting that they're getting to do something different, see a different area, a different part of the city, and just help take care of the community.
Custer says this is the kind of service project that's important, and it's an important part of her Christian faith.
We're called to be good stewards of this planet, and so this is part of our calling and our service to our community.
And that is math and science teacher at Redeemer Lutheran School, where they went out on this community service project. This morning, the Supreme Court ruled on the future of a humanitarian parole program. More on that and the ruling's effects here in Utah after the break. But first, it's KSL Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
Maria, we have some unusual heavy and slow traffic on southbound I-15 in Salt Lake County. It starts after 72nd South in Midvale and continues into Sandy down by the mall. We're not really sure what's going on down there, but cameras definitely showing traffic bunching up and slowing down. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Summer is all about getting outside, being active, and if you aren't feeling your best, if you're overweight, you're not able to be as active as you'd like to be, it's really holding you back. I want to tell you about a plan that I've been following, a plan that has helped me lose more than 40 pounds, and that is Salt Lake City Fat Loss. I lost 25 pounds in the first 60 days. Many people actually lose up to a pound per day. With Salt Lake City Fat Loss, it's all natural, no injections, no medications, no surgery, so you don't have to worry about side effects. And it's not as expensive as other programs because there are no prepackaged meals or other products that you're required to buy. Plus, it's easy to stick with because you'll lose the weight quickly, you're motivated, and it's simple to follow. Save $200 now. Go to slcfatloss.com to learn more. It's also easy to meet with them virtually if you'd like, or you can call them at 801-450-1882. That's slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
Jeff Kaplan.
His Minute of News is great. It's always entertaining.
I listen to Jeff Kaplan every day. He gives you important news and traffic and the familiar voice that helps you enjoy the ride home.
I really like Jeff's Minute of News. He's calm and he's balanced.
I really enjoy driving home and just listening to what he's got to say.
Jeff Kaplan gets me home every day.
Join the community that relies on Jeff Kaplan. He has you covered. Afternoons from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
We have 5 kids, 2 dogs, and we've bought 4 houses in the last 12 years. So our realtors helped us through the complexities of buying a house, the legalities of different property rights, right-of-ways, building concerns, or even ordinances, right?
If we were to try to do this on our own, we would have made a lot of financial mistakes. The realtor is now part of our family. She's who helps our family get to wherever our next chapter is.
Discover how a realtor can make a real difference at myrealtorstory.com.
If your water heater's over 10 to 15 years old, congratulations. You've beat the average. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I love hearing stories of people having water heaters that are really old and they're still doing their job. Unfortunately, most of us won't be that lucky. And when water heaters fail, it's usually in spectacularly inconvenient fashion. Whether it's an unexpected cold shower when we're already running late for work, or worse yet, coming home to a flooded basement, it's never fun. If you'd like to look into replacing your water heater before it fails, Any Hour Services is having a sale for any homeowners listening. Whether you're looking for a new tanked water heater or you want to see what upgrading to a tankless would cost, the plumbers at Any Hour Services can show you what options are available. And right now, you can save $400 on a tanked water heater or $1,200 on a tankless. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Buying a home can be challenging. Good thing Mountain America Credit Union is on your side. With our homegrown home loans, you'll receive the local guidance and friendly service to finance your dream home. Plus, for a limited time, you'll get a free appraisal. Apply for your Mountain America Homegrown Home Loan today. Details at macu.com/mortgage. On approved credit, membership required based on eligibility. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Some restrictions apply. Equal housing lender. NMLS ID 462815.
You were listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. This morning, the U.S. Supreme Court said the Trump administration could roll back legal status granted to hundreds of thousands of migrants by the previous president's team. ABC's Devin Dwyer with more on that decision.
This is a very significant ruling in terms of the number of people impacted. Over 500,000 people that were allowed into the country by the Biden administration from those 5 countries under a program known as humanitarian parole. These people did not have legal status in the country. This was, to be sure, a temporary program granted by the Department of Homeland Security on a discretionary basis during the Biden years. The justification was to relieve some of the strain at the border, to vet these people that were coming into the country, allow them in for humanitarian reasons. Likely, the administration said at that time, because many of these people would be eligible to stay in the country. But the Trump administration taking a very different tact. And DHS Secretary Kristi Noem immediately revoking the status categorically of all those immigrants back in March. A federal district judge said that that was arbitrary and capricious, put that decision on hold. But today, the Supreme Court, in a 7-2 decision, said the administration appeared to be on firm footing with its change and can proceed with that change for now. What that means is those 500,000 immigrants in the United States could now, in the next 30 days, see their status revoked. They will be forced to leave the country unless they have some other kind of legal status, Alex. And as the dissent in this case, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson and Sonia Sotomayor said today, that is undervaluing and devastating for a lot of those families who had come here legally and set up lives here.
Reaction is already coming out in Utah. Local immigration attorney Carlos Trujillo tells KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis that he's already hearing from worried clients.
We have been receiving phone calls, people that, were hopeful that humanitarian parole will be respected, the one that was assigned to them for a period of 2 years. Now, it hasn't been a high volume because this was kind of the last decision, but this is something that the community was aware, and especially the community of Nicaragua, Cuba, and Venezuela. Many of them had already been working in another path like asylum.
Trujillo says he's struggling to understand why the justices ruled the way they did.
Trying to understand what the justices did on the legal side, it's a little baffling. And it might be because we're only limited to answer the question whether the program should be suspended or not while litigation is ongoing. But the fact of the matter is that the United States of America promised a period of 2 years with a work permit for people to come after being vetted and stay here completely legal without being afraid of being deported for that time period. And for the U.S. government to pull the rug like this, it just doesn't match with the values of this country.
Sergio Garcia is an immigration attorney at Garcia Law. He says this ruling will make it harder for the migrants he works with to keep hope.
I mean, I think that some people are losing kind of hope. This was an opportunity for people to come in legally and apply for asylum in the U.S. So with these changes, I mean, some people are losing work permits. People have been starting to work. People have, started businesses. So this cancellation kind of, brings some uncertainty with some of the, people who are working out.
Garcia says he's giving his clients one major piece of advice.
What I'm advising people, if they haven't applied for asylum, to apply for it, because that's the way they could stay, right? So they'll cancel this parole, but if you file for asylum, you could stay because you're in another process. So they're canceling this with the intent, I think, so people could leave or that they'll be able to deport people. But they still have the opportunity to file for asylum.
Meantime, Trujillo says the conversations about immigration right now are also making things difficult for people who have migrated here.
The whole environment with the immigrant community right now, it's a little volatile. It's something that it's affecting our economy locally. A lot of people are simply choosing not to live in fear and go back to their home countries or go and try in other countries. Now, a lot of people, when they see this instability, they decide not to engage in pursuing businesses or business ventures that they wanted to, just because they don't know what's around the corner. I mean, they already took away TPS. Now they're going to be taking away this humanitarian parole. And again, these were legal pathways for people to be doing the right thing, to pay taxes, to have a work permit. So what is to say that, another legal, lawful way might just be taken away a week from now?
The High Court's decision means the Trump administration can move forward with its policy change even as litigation continues in lower courts on the merits. In other political news, President Trump says China has violated its trade agreement. News Nation's Robert Sherman has details.
The trade representatives and many of those close to the president up to this point, they continue to view China as this number one bad actor when it comes to trade. And this is what the president has said here this morning, saying, quote, made a fast deal with China in order to save them from what I thought was going to be a very bad situation. I didn't want to see that happen because of this deal. Everything quickly stabilized and China got back to business as usual. That is the good news. Bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with us.
This week, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has said that he believed trade talks had effectively stalled with China. He thought it would take direct talks between the leaders of both countries to settle an agreement that works. Questions about Make America Healthy Again report that was released this week from the Department of Health and Human Services is facing criticism dealing with its citations. ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce explains.
Some of the citations in this report are really garbled and appear to bear the hallmark of having been created by artificial intelligence. This sweeping report, led by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., outlined what the administration believes are the root causes of childhood disease. But the footnotes include numerous errors. Some citations include the wrong authors. Others cite to studies that don't exist at all. Now, the White House says the mistakes are due to, quote, formatting issues and that they are being corrected. The press secretary stressing that they do not, quote, negate the substance of the report.
We have complete confidence in Secretary Kennedy and his team at HHS. I understand there were some formatting issues with the MAHA report that are being addressed, and the report will be updated, but it does not negate the substance of the report.
That was White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. ABC's Perry Russum says the report has now been revised.
An updated version did remove mention of some reports that do not exist, replacing them with other sources. The new version also appeared to soften some language. In one case, the original report claimed certain advertisements led parents to overestimate ADHD prevalence. The revised report says the ads potentially have that effect.
And there's even more money separating an average corporate chief and company workers.
Corporate heads made more money in 2024, according to a survey from the Associated Press. The typical compensation package rose 10% last year for those who run companies in the S&P 500. Those increases outpaced wages for other workers. At half the companies surveyed, it would take a typical worker 192 years to make what a CEO made in one.
ABC's Chuck Sievertson. It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Utah Democrats preparing for their state convention this weekend. A once popular Chinese language program ending at a Salt Lake City High School. And KSL traffic. Ricky?
UHP had stopped all traffic southbound I-15 at 90th South Sandy. They've now released it, but residual delays back to the South Interchange. Maria?
Thanks, Ricky. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute. First, the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. A dangerous mess not too far south of the Canadian border near Lyndon, Washington. People, pedestrians, and drivers are urged by the sheriff's office to stay 200 yards away from where a commercial truck overturned. The truck is carrying an estimated 70,000 pounds of honeybee hives containing live bees. We're just hearing that Loretta Swit has died, most famously playing Major Margaret Houlihan, head of nurses, on the still popular TV comedy series MASH. She was 87. Its final episode in 1983 still is the top-rated scripted TV show of all time. Hundreds of thousands of migrants in the U.S. could be forced out after a Supreme Court decision today. It allows the government to move ahead with its plans to end parole protections granted by the Biden administration to 500,000 migrants who fled Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela. Cuba's foreign ministry in a tiff with the U.S. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. State and federal officials are adding new tech and other upgrades to conserve more water for the Colorado River.
It's hard to put into words the importance of providing water managers the best information.
Water managers say they've made significant progress in utilizing a $50 million federal grant to improve conservation in the Upper Colorado River Basin, which includes Utah. Upper Colorado River Commission Executive Director Chuck Cullum tells me they're adding new technology to better measure how much water is being used every year, which he says is critical to saving water in the future.
It's analogous to, if you want to save money, one of the ways to understand how much you're going to save is to understand how much you're spending.
Cullum says he hopes the data they're gathering between now and 2029 will help managers make the best decisions for the future. The Colorado River has seen 20% less water flowing in it since the turn of the century, and the river supplies more than a quarter of all of Utah's water. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Over 20 Utah wildland firefighters are out battling fires in Arizona. Battalion Chief August Foreman with the Utah Department of Natural Resources is among them.
You respond to an initial attack fire. I always call it the organized chaos. It's a fine dance that we as firefighters do.
He spoke with TV station KOLD, telling them the western states are working together to get a lot of work done quickly. The current Utah crew is scheduled to come home after the weekend. The Utah Democratic Convention will take place this weekend, where delegates will choose their next party leader. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
Several positions are actually open, including chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. The Democratic 2024 candidate for Governor Brian King is one of 4 leaders hoping to take over as the party chair. Other candidates include Jonathan Lopez, an IT tech with experience in political organizing and kitchen table economics, the executive director for the Salt Lake Democratic Party, Ben Peck, and Archie Williams III, an independent who ran for lieutenant governor last year. The final vote should be in by tomorrow afternoon. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
The party will also be looking at 2 resolutions opposing moves by the current administration. One condemns any efforts to extend the presidential term limit, saying there are no kings among us, and they will continue to defend the Constitution. The other condemns the funding and job cuts to the Department of Veteran Affairs. It claims the cuts are damaging the economic security and morale of veterans and their families, as well as harming their trust in the VA. We will bring you an in-depth in just a few minutes. Taking a look at your money at this moment, at the close, the Dow up by 100 and, I'm an hour early, aren't I here? It's not closing yet, but the Dow right now sitting up 115 points at 42,333. S&P 500, it's up by 2 points. The NASDAQ, however, is down by 75 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky, I don't know what time it is today.
I'm kind of with you, but it is Friday. We are dealing with residual delays. Southbound I-15 between the South Interchange and 90th South, but traffic is moving. Once again, we have the cleanup of a crash at California Avenue, 30th West, and Highway 6 in Utah County. A crash going southbound in Thistle at the Highway 89 junction. The Good Feet stores supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Headed into a very hot weekend with highs in the mid-90s and not a chance of rain until Monday, where we do have a 60% chance of showers. The high on Monday dropping about 20 degrees. 83 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Looking for reliable home services you can actually count on? I've got just the team for you. Mountain Home Services. They've been serving Utah since 1954 with honest, upfront pricing and zero hidden fees. Plus, they back every job with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. With summer heating up, now's the time to get your AC in shape. Mountain Home Services delivers fast, expert air conditioning service to keep your home cool and comfortable. And don't forget, they also handle electrical and plumbing work with the same trusted care. And here's the best part. KSL listeners get exclusive limited-time specials, but you have to call and ask. These deals won't last, so don't miss your chance to save. Call 801-543-2222 today and tell them KSL sent you. That's 801-543-2222 or visit mountainhomeservices.com. Get the service you need and the deal you deserve.
Tim Hughes back again with Greg and Mike at Replenish Landscape Garden Products. And Mike, we talk about Replenish Compost itself, but it's your soil blends, I think, that most people should have in their growing areas because it's going to help immensely.
It will, yeah. We have a variety of soil blends, a topsoil blend, a Ute-like garden mix that adds some soil conditioner in it to keep the soil loose, and garden box blend.
And Greg, it doesn't matter if that means flowers or maybe your vegetable garden, it's going to work in both spots.
That's right. Everything regarding success in the garden or in the yard starts with the soil, and you won't find any better soil blends than what we carry.
And of course, as we have told you before, you can pick it up here yourself in bag or in bulk, or Mike, you can have it delivered.
Yeah, we deliver it in bulk or bag, or the super big bag as well, the 1 cubic yard bag.
You can always find them at 4660 South, 200 West in Murray. Give them a call at 801-262-5142 or go online at replenishcompost.com. You know it, Replenish. It's good stuff.
You were listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Delegates for the Utah Democratic Party will come together tomorrow for the state convention. Midday's executive producer, Andy Cupp, is here with a look at what's on deck. Andy?
Well, Maria, the place to be for Democrats around the state tomorrow is at Ogden High School. During this year's state convention, party delegates will vote on a new party chair, just like the Republicans did, and they'll also vote on 2 resolutions. Current party chair Diane Lewis is stepping down after 4 years leading the party. And vying for her seat are Brian King, Archie Williams III, Jonathan Lopez, and Ben Peck. Now, King is a familiar name. He was the former Democratic candidate for governor this last year, and he served as a state legislature for several years before that. Lopez is a current IT technician working in the financial, defense, and retail industries, and then Peck is the executive director of the Salt Lake County Democratic Party, and he also used to be a bus driver for UTA. This morning, I spoke with the current party chair, Diane Lewis, to get kind of some of her takes on tomorrow's convention.
I'm excited to see all the amazing new candidates that we have running for our leadership positions. And tomorrow is the election day, and they've been traveling across the state, doing their pitches and campaigning. And so tomorrow will be the crux of who's going to win those leadership roles, and that's going to be exciting to see. We have some exciting things. We have 2 resolutions that will be approved or not, and one of them is a veterans resolution, and the other one is going to be about the term for the presidential, only being able to go through 2 terms as a presidential. So those 2 are going to be on the docket during our platform time. That's going to be another exciting thing, and just getting together and seeing all the excitement that we've had across the state with new people coming in and being excited, and I think we're going to have a big turnout.
Now, she mentioned a resolution on veterans. Did she say any more about that?
Yeah, she said it had to do a lot with the federal layoffs and how they've affected services for veterans.
The resolution is calling for no more layoffs of federal employees, and especially at the federal hospitals and things like that. So asking, we're going to turn this into the DNC, and then in the resolution it asks to give to our legislators as well, and protecting our federal workers.
Now, that resolution was adopted earlier this month by the Salt Lake County Veterans Caucus. And earlier it had been announced as well that Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker was going to attend and speak at the convention. Unfortunately, Lewis told me that that is no longer happening.
Because their assembly is in session, and today was to be their last day of session. However, the budget has to be approved, and so they're going to roll into tomorrow so he's not going to be able to make it. We hope at this moment, we don't have it yet, but we hope to have a video from him. And he apologized, and said that he thought he could get this, that their session would be done, but it didn't quite make it. So he's not coming in.
Pretty understandable. As a sitting governor, his first priority is to his state. So I get it. And as I mentioned earlier, Diane Lewis is wrapping up her 4 years as party chair. So I asked her what kinds of things is she most proud of looking back at the party during that time.
I am very proud of our party and our staff and, the people that have worked through, these 4 years about building the party across the state. We worked hard with our rural county parties and, down south, Iron County has built up. Most of our counties are very active now and with full leadership. This year, as we traveled around and me personally seeing it, I've always been to their conventions. Every year I've gone to their conventions. This year is probably the most active conventions that I've seen across the state. And so that's one thing that I'm really proud of. We now are a statewide party.
She says she's also proud of the labor movement that's grown within the party.
I am a union. I'm from the labor movement. I was the business manager of Labor's Local 295. And that's another thing. The unions have supported the state party now, and I was able to build those relationships, and we're so excited to have the union members with us in the Democratic Party. And you could see that in the SB 267 bill.
Now, Maria, you'll recall that House Bill 267, which was passed during the last legislative session, banned collective bargaining from public labor unions. Now, as a reminder, before that bill went into effect, labor organizers gathered enough signatures to force a referendum. It's expected that that referendum will go on the November 2026 ballot.
Okay, so back to the convention tomorrow. What are the logistical details?
Registration begins at 8 a.m., followed by issue and identity caucus meetings. There's a full list on the Democratic Party's website. And then the full convention will kick off at 11 a.m. and is expected to finish later in the afternoon. The whole thing takes place at Ogden High School.
Great. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
Midday with Maria Shilaos continues in just 60 seconds.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
A program that attracts students from all over the Wasatch Front to West High School is going away in the near future. International Baccalaureate Chinese language classes. Salt Lake District spokesperson Yandri Chatwin spoke with KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi. She says part of the reason is money.
There's a few things. One is in Salt Lake, we're actually seeing declining enrollment, and one way that impacts the schools is in the number of FTE, the number of full-time teachers that they have available on staff each year. Another thing is the demand for other courses. Every year before West High creates the main course schedule for next year, they do a survey of the student body to ask what classes students intend to take, what they're interested in taking. And there's speaking of world languages, there's a long list of interest in Spanish classes and a lot fewer in Chinese specifically. Now, West High offers 6 world languages. That's more than any other high school in our district and probably more than a lot of high schools in the state. And the demand for Chinese is just so much lower. So that plays into it as well.
Chowan says the district recognizes that this is a difficult change for the students enrolled in the program as well as the teacher.
The teacher would have the opportunity to apply for other positions, and part of the process too is I mentioned there were a few reasons: the enrollment demographics changing, the demand for different courses, and needing to prioritize, and then also there's a grant that has funded part of that teacher's salary for the last several years. It was a one-time grant. The money is almost run out on that, and without alternate funding sources, it's tough, and the administration is going to need to make some hard choices for the 26-27 school year.
She says it's not just about the number of kids enrolled in Chinese language classes, it's also about growth in other areas.
It's more looking at the demand for other courses and where FTE could be needed. West High, for example, has a lot of students whose families are newcomers to the country, so we see a big demand for ELD, English Language Development teachers. That's an area where they could use more support. And so it's a choice between, are we going to staff this one additional section of this class or of this one? Again, the administration there will just have to make some tough choices. And I know that they place student needs first, which is part of why they survey students to make sure that they're providing the opportunities that will keep students engaged.
Chowan says it's a tough decision because there are 83 students enrolled for classes next year.
This is really hard, and it's not something the administration there has taken lightly. They have listened to community members, they've listened to students, to parents, and are trying to balance a lot of really important needs. And I know the principal is open to hearing from groups and asking for help if people want to see enrollment increase, then some support from community members to talk up the program might be helpful as well. But even if this program drops, we're still committed to providing courses that will keep our students engaged. We still would be serving students with 5 world languages, which again is more than any other school in the district, and there are opportunities in different areas for our kids.
The advanced language classes in Chinese will end after the next school year. The IB program, though, requires 2 years, and students who don't get enough time may have to complete the program at Skyline or Hillcrest High Schools. After the break, we'll tell you the story of one little boy who's become a symbol of unconditional love for his family. But first, it's KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
A new accident southbound I-15 just after 7200 South. It's been moved over to the shoulder, but we still have some delays into Murray. UDOT construction alert. Plan ahead for a full closure of southbound Bangerter Highway from 126 South to Redwood Road as crews work on sewers. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. Why do we fear change perhaps more than anything in our lives? Uncertainty and the unknown can trigger our frontal brains to fight or flight, and these days it's more fight than it is flight. But change is always part of the human condition, and even the best changes like a dream job or a marriage can bring new difficulties. One thing that's always true about change is that it looks different in retrospect. The worst thing that ever happened in my career turned out to be the best thing. When people ask me about how to live with organizational change, my advice almost always is lean in. Instead of resisting, try supporting and then redirecting. Learn more about dealing with change in an MBA program from Utah State. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
It's time for the KSL Give-a-thon.
We need your help raising money for sick Utah kids receiving treatment at Primary Children's Hospital.
Go to KSLkids.com and donate today.
Be a smile maker. An automatic gift each month helps save the lives of children all year long.
Sponsored by J&J Garden Center in Layton.
A big thanks to other generous sponsors, including the Utah Hyundai dealers, for their amazing support of the kids of Primary Children's.
The KSL Give-a-thon. We can't do it without you. Please give today at kslkids.com.
Pantheon Clinical Research is conducting a clinical study for children and teens. Is your child struggling with bipolar depression? If your child is between 10 and 17 years old and experiencing symptoms of depression associated with bipolar disorder, such as persistent sadness, loss of interest in activities, trouble sleeping, low energy, difficulty concentrating, or even suicidal thoughts, Pantheon Clinical Research may be able to help. We are ready to take your call anytime. Call our phone lines at Pantheon Clinical Research at 385-281-0550. That's 385-281-0550. We're conducting a no-cost clinical study for children and teens facing bipolar depression. Participants will receive study-related care, medical tests, and investigational treatment from a dedicated medical team, all at no cost and with no health insurance required. Call Pantheon Clinical Research today at 385-281-0550. That's 385-281-0550. Or visit our website at pantheonclinical.com to learn more. Hope starts here.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Now is the perfect time to start on your next success. An accredited state university, University of Maryland Global Campus offers online and hybrid courses. Plus, you can earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. Jill and Chris were so excited to be having another child, but knew it was a high-risk pregnancy. During a regular checkup, they found out Whit has Down syndrome. During the 19-week checkup, they learned he also had hydrops fatalis, which often results in stillbirth.
Whit is a fighter, obviously. I call him my little finger of God. He's reminded us of what's important in this world.
He's taught us unconditional love. We get the diagnosis of the Down syndrome, then they tell us that he has fetal hydrops, a serious condition that if we don't do anything, he'll pass away.
He had a 10% chance to live, and we saw the miracles from there. That's what he is. He's a miracle.
As scary as the surgery sounded and the risks involved, I just said to Chris, if it were any of our other kids, we would do anything that we needed to do to save him.
We started off with, you're going to lose your baby in 48 hours. And the day he was born, I remember thinking, okay, we made it past this step. He's here now. And now he's in the care of the best professionals. We truly felt like he was in hands of family there.
Spending so much time in Dr. Monson's office, I felt like I was the only one who existed. She always gave me a hug at the end, and I needed that. Having the fetal center readily available to us, that was huge.
In the year previous, we would have had to go into California or another level 5 NICU somewhere.
He was in there for 6 months, and it was surreal when we brought him home. It was scary, but he's a healthy little boy.
His presence is powerful. He's just love. On Christmas, I remember there was a note in there from one of the nurses that she had written to Whit, and apparently she had been going through a hard time personally, and she wrote him a note and said, someday I hope that I can thank you for what you've done for me and the strength you've provided when I held you at night. My hope is that he's able to feel as loved as the love that he makes everybody else feel.
He's now a fun and energetic 1.5-year-old who continues to bring joy to his family. You can donate now by visiting kslkids.com, or you can text the word SMILE to 57500. Our main give-a-thon will be Wednesday, June 4th. Remember the cat that survived a 380-foot fall off a Bryce Canyon cliff? She has found her forever home. Mirage is being rescued by the pilot who rescued her after the fall. Chelsea Tuga was the search and rescue pilot who responded after 2 hikers fell off that cliff on April 29th.
I'm normally one of the pilots for the Salt Lake base, but we needed to provide some coverage for St. George just due to staffing issues. So I went down there to work for a few days, and we received a call from Garfield County Sheriff's Office asking for assistance with a recovery there in Bryce Canyon National Park. And so we departed and went to assist them, and throughout the recovery process, they asked us to recover what they thought was a backpack on the side of the hill. So we hoisted my rescue specialist down in to recover that, and when he got down there, he told us that it was actually a cat and a cat carrier. So he hooked it to his harness, and we pulled him back up to the helicopter and flew back to the landing zone. And that's when I found out that the cat was actually still alive in the cat carrier, and that's when I met Mirage.
What was your reaction to find that this cat actually survived that incredible fall?
Oh, I was amazed. It was, crazy. When he said that it was a cat in a cat carrier, I thought that the cat was deceased as well. So I was really surprised when I found out that she was, in fact, still alive.
Tell us what made you decide to adopt Mirage.
I think just the circumstances, just that it was a tragic situation, and I just kind of felt this connection and just felt really bad for her, because of the situation. So I just wanted to give her a home, and I didn't really know what her future held, and I didn't want her to end up at an animal shelter, spending the rest of her days there waiting for adoption. So that's what made me pretty much decide that I wanted to give her a loving home. And I'm kind of a cat person as it is. I already actually have 2 cats prior to her adoption, so it wasn't going to be a big deal fitting her into the household.
Tell us about her and how she is fitting into the household.
She's doing great. She's actually been integrating really well. We kept her separate for about 3-4 days in a different room just to make sure the cats had a chance to sniff each other through the door and kind of get used to each other. But once we let her out, there was a little bit of hissing when the other 2 got a little close to her, but now they're doing really well together, and they're able to walk right next to each other without any issues, and they all get to eat their treats together, so they're all doing really good.
Anything you'd like to add about this remarkable situation?
Just I really appreciate the efforts from Best Friends Animal Society. Once I found out that that's where the Garfield County Sheriff's Office ultimately sent her, I was really relieved because I knew she was going to be getting the help that she needed, and just the veterinary care that she needed at the time. And it's just a great, organization. And the fact that they're national and they're saving pets all over the United States is, I think is really awesome. So I really appreciate their effort.
Chelsea, 2 guys, this search and rescue pilot that rescued Mirage, now providing her with a loving home.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The lack of housing taking center stage at a summit hosted by Governor Cox with other local leaders.
This isn't a problem that the state caused. It's not a problem the city caused. It's not a problem the developers caused. It's a problem, and it takes everybody to solve it.
The time is 2 o'clock on Friday, May 30th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, how a new dashboard aims to make it easier to find affordable housing. Also this hour,
so much goodness, so much positivity, and it's just crazy when there's opportunities for everybody.
One program making sports more inclusive for Utahns with special needs. But first, our top stories. A major win for the White House in the battle over immigration. The Supreme Court granted the Trump administration's request to revoke humanitarian parole for more than 530,000 immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela.
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem immediately revoking the status categorically of all those immigrants back in March. A federal district judge said that was arbitrary and capricious, put that decision on hold. But today, the Supreme Court, in a 7-2 decision, said the administration appeared to be on firm footing with its change and can proceed with that change for now.
ABC's Devin Dwyer reporting in Washington. Immigration attorneys in Utah are saying many in the state are not sure how to make plans after more legal protections have been removed. This morning, the Supreme Court took away humanitarian parole protections, which would allow those who qualified to stay in the states legally for 2 years. Immigration attorney Carlos Trujillo says several of his clients are feeling paralyzed since they don't know what might be coming next.
These were legal pathways for people to be doing the right thing, to pay taxes, to have a work permit. So what is to say that another legal, lawful way might just be taken away a week from now?
He says all they can do now is apply for asylum, but many might not get that done in time since it's a very complicated process. Reality TV star Todd Chrisley speaks out for the first time since President Trump's pardon and release from a prison earlier this week, speaking to supporters at a hotel in Nashville this morning.
Even though this pardon has happened, I still was convicted of something that I did not do. It could be you.
President Trump pardoned Todd Chrisley and his wife, Julie, who served time for tax evasion and bank fraud earlier this week. Former President Biden is speaking publicly for the first time since receiving his cancer diagnosis.
I feel good.
Have you decided on your treatment options?
Yeah, we have. We're underway, and all the folks are very optimistic.
The former president speaking at a Memorial Day service in Delaware this morning. He says his prognosis is good and everything is moving along well. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ending the day up 54 points, sitting at 42,270. S&P down by just a fraction. The NASDAQ down by 62 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
We still have the cleanup of the accident in Midvale, southbound I-15 at 7200 South. They're holding traffic in order to get these vehicles moved off that left shoulder and over to off the roadway. And then we have a new accident southbound I-15 after Bangor Highway again moved to the shoulder. All tickets are on sale now, so claim your spot and start planning your perfect Park City night. Details at DeerValleyMusicFestival.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Keep water handy. It's going to be a hot weekend. The high today 91, but in the mid-90s by Sunday, and then a cool down come Monday. Right now, 85 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
If you've got a honey-do list with electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning projects on it, Any Hour Services can help. Call Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. AnyHourServices.com.
Common Spirit Health has expert orthopedic care that gets you back at it and back to your best. Find skilled orthopedic physicians at Common Spirit locations who specialize in general orthopedics and repair of hips, knees, shoulders, and hands, so you can return to running races or chasing the grandkids. Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Orthopedic care with human kindness is here. Visit mountain.commonspirit.org.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. The other night, I was there for opening night of 12 Angry Men at Hale Center Theater. When Mark Dietlein introduced the opening night performance, he said, boy, we rarely present something like this at Hale Center Theater. It is a true drama, and Mark was absolutely right. The angst you feel, the prejudice you feel, the despair almost, and even the heartbreak of a father concerned about a son, it all goes into the deliberation of this jury that is going to decide whether a man lives or dies. And unfolding on the stage, we see what one person can do. 12 Angry Men, you've got to see it at Hale Center Theater. And right now, just down the hall, we couldn't go for a bigger difference when we're talking about Finding Neverland. 2 wonderful performances are underway right now at Hale Center Theater. Get your tickets. Go to hct.org. And don't miss 12 Angry Men.
Thanks for tuning in to Midday with Maria Shilaos. A new state-funded dashboard is making it easier to find affordable housing in Utah. With the dashboard, you can filter out what county you live in or are thinking of moving to and see how many deeply affordable houses are being built there. The dashboard was announced during a housing summit held by Governor Spencer Cox, the governor bringing together mayors to tackle the affordable housing issue.
It's about sharing the good ideas. I mean, we've had lots of woodshed moments. It was about going over the numbers and just helping everyone. I said at the end, I said, all I'm asking is that you all are as passionate about this as I am, understanding that the very future of our state hangs in the balance here. I truly believe that all of the rankings, all the things we're so proud of, best state for jobs, job growth, economics, #1 state in the nation to live, all of that goes away if we don't solve this over the next 5 years.
KSL News Radio's Virl Johansson getting the perspective of each stakeholder, including Eagle Mountain Mayor Tom Westmoreland. Westmoreland says that the next step for the state is providing more funding to build infrastructure around the houses.
Our biggest challenge is infrastructure, things like roads, water, power, sewer, schools, all of that stuff. It's one thing to build houses, but you've got to have the jobs, you've got to have the roads, you've got to have the water, you've got to have the power. So we're trying to fill in and all of that, and that's where we can't do that alone. We need the state's partnership in order to make that happen. And that these are difficult challenges. They're very nuanced and they're varied. There isn't any one size fits all. And I think that may be part of the governor's frustration is he's trying to encourage cities to step up in the manner that works for them, because we know a one-size-fits-all is not the answer, and so we've got to tailor the solutions for these individual cities and individual areas.
Clearfield Mayor Mark Shepard was among the 35 mayors discussing strategies. He says it's important for local governments to work with the governor's office to increase the number of affordable starter homes.
This isn't a problem that the state caused. It's not a problem that the city caused. It's not a problem the developers caused. It's a problem, and it takes everybody to solve it. Governor knows that he could easily just say, we're taking it away from you. We're going to take the authority away from you to zone. It's the wrong thing to do, but he's seen it done in other states, and if it works there, I could see him doing it here. The fight back from the cities is that's what we're here for. We're here to create places people want to live and be and play, and that doesn't mean that we can eliminate shopping. It doesn't mean we can take away the retail just for housing. We have to have a place where they want to be, and so we need to be able to plan our communities. The legislature has put in so many different new laws over the past several years that we're still reeling trying to catch up with them, but we've got to let them stick and see what fruit they grow before we immediately change the law. We're already seeing the results, but they've taken years to get there. Nothing changes overnight. I wish it could. I wish we could just say, boom, it's fixed and we're gone, and man, there's 35,000 houses in the air. But it doesn't work. I mean, I've got a development in Clearfield that's we actually did the infrastructure for, which is the major problem for most developers is the cost of infrastructure, and so the city bonded for it. It's on transit. It's our station, our front runner station. It still hasn't gone vertical because the cost of development exceeds the cost of the return on it, and so they're looking at it saying our investors don't even want to invest because there's not enough return right now to even build what we've already approved. And there's 1,000 housing units in there to build. There's townhomes and condos and apartments, and they haven't even got sticks out of the ground yet because they just can't make it happen.
The summit's goal was ambitious, to conceptualize the construction of 35,000 new dwellings designed to fulfill the needs of Utah families entering the housing market. Spanish Fork Mayor Mike Mendenhall says it was important for the local entities to share their perspectives on the matter.
The governor mentioned there's always healthy contention between state and local government, and that's always going to be there regardless of what you're doing. The biggest point was simply that, hey, here's the problem, and here's maybe some things that are contributing to that problem from the city side. Well, the city's got up and said, that's not the full story. Here's the problems we're facing when we're trying to permit housing and trying to plan for it. And so those were at odds with each other. And I think the end result was, well, then let's get in the right, let's get the facts, let's get the numbers, and then let's get in a room and figure out how we can do this, not just over the next 50 years. But like the governor said, this needs to happen over the next 5-10 years.
What are your thoughts on the new tool that's going to be unveiled?
I think it's great. Something in the public where you can see actual housing that's permitted and where it's permitted, and maybe where it's where it could possibly have more of it available, whether it be land or whether it be infrastructure. I think that tool is going to not only be clear and provide that much more clarity for cities to coordinate with the state, but for residents of our city. You can bring that dashboard up and show our residents, here's where we're short, here's why your kids are struggling to find housing across the Wasatch Front and maybe even in our community. Excited to see that tool come to fruition and be used not just in government-to-government relations, but the public as well.
You can find a link to the new affordable housing dashboard on our website at kslnewsradio.com. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
The Huntsman Cancer Institute has made a breakthrough when it comes to treating blood cancers by using stem cells from a cadaver. KSL News Radio's Michelle Rowe spoke with Associate Professor of Medicine Sigar Patel about how this new non-traditional approach is making a difference.
In my role, I certainly get to help patients that have a variety of both malignant and non-malignant blood diseases potentially receive a treatment that is called a bone marrow transplant. And specifically, this is an allogeneic bone marrow transplant where we use stem cells from a different person. Traditionally, that has always been a living donor, and that has always potentially made it more difficult for some patients to even find a match, let alone the time that's required to obtain those stem cells and get them to our recipient, our patient that we're trying to treat. And so this new approach involves our cancer center here working with Ossium Health, which is a company that has been building a bank of stem cell grafts from individuals who are deceased and were organ donors. And essentially, this now allows us to do transplants much faster than we traditionally can in terms of being able to get the cells delivered in just as short as even 5 days instead of typically months to identify a donor and to get their cells collected. So we can essentially call up and see if there's a suitable match available to this bank and quickly get the cells delivered to our center here for a waiting patient. In addition, this approach also allows us to potentially provide stem cells to do a transplant to individuals who may not even have a living donor that is even a suitable option. And this expands essentially the donor pool. So patients that otherwise may not even be able to get a transplant can now get one. With this ongoing clinical trial, we have been able to treat the first patient, and they've done exceptionally well. To to date, and we're very excited to sort of see this continue to expand to other individuals and eventually be available even off trial and as a standard option for other patients across the United States.
Dr. Patel says using the cadaver stem cells also allows them to treat a wider variety of patients.
This therapy can be really intense for patients and often requires, a significant period of time in the hospital, typically a month, with then essentially a year to recover. And so it's an intense therapy, but it can provide a curative benefit for these individuals. And so we're really excited to now be able to actually get more patients to transplant and hopefully in a faster fashion than we've ever been able to do.
The clinical trial is in phase 1, and they are recruiting patients around the country to participate. Utahns helping military seniors, the story of one couple working to make life easier for veterans. But first, it's KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
We have a mess in Utah County, a crash with injuries southbound I-15. It's as you're approaching Pleasant Grove Boulevard. Multiple emergency crews on the scene blocking right lanes of traffic. Delays already back to Pioneer Crossing. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Have a minute?
I love Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News. It's more of a personal take on the news from Jeff.
Get caught up on the latest news and hear Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News for thought-provoking, playful commentary.
It's usually funny.
Like he's said before, it varies from day to day, and it's always entertaining.
My Minute of News, it puts a smile on my face.
If you have a minute, you need to catch Jeff's Minute. My Minute of News, weekdays from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Looking for reliable home services you can actually count on? I've got just the team for you. Mountain Home Services. They've been serving Utah since 1954 with honest, upfront pricing and zero hidden fees. Plus, they back every job with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. With summer heating up, now's the time to get your AC in shape. Mountain Home Services delivers fast, expert air conditioning service to keep your home cool and comfortable. And don't forget, they also handle electrical and plumbing work with the same trusted care. And here's the best part. KSL listeners get exclusive limited-time specials, but you have to call and ask. These deals won't last, so don't miss your chance to save. Call 801-543-2222 today and tell them KSL sent you. That's 801-543-2222 or visit mountainhomeservices.com. Get the service you need and the deal you deserve.
Something about me. I don't like to settle. I work hard to be my best self, and I want a vehicle that matches. So I'm shopping for a Cadillac because their innovation and craftsmanship are top of the line. With a whole line of electric SUVs packed with state-of-the-art technology, I know I'll be driving away in redefined luxury. Help all of us at Jerry Seiner Cadillac celebrate our new location with an incredible buying experience for your dream car. Come in today to experience the Seiner difference.
For nearly 70 years, Les Olson IT has been the trusted name for businesses. From state-of-the-art printers and copiers to managed IT services, we have the solutions you need to stay ahead in today's world. And now Les Olson IT is trusted and licensed in Utah for security systems, for technology that helps you work smarter. Les Olson IT, providing solutions that empower your business.
Les Olson IT.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-961-5544. 800-961-5544.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Emergency medical unit, respond to 102 Maple Avenue. Possible stroke victim.
When stroke occurs, you have 60 minutes to win or lose the race of your life. There are new treatments, but you must get to a hospital fast. If you suddenly feel weakness on one side, have trouble speaking, walking, or seeing, it could be a stroke. Call 911. Get to a hospital. Because how you spend the next 60 minutes could determine how you spend the rest of your life. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. May is Military Appreciation Month, and as the month comes to an end, we wanted to highlight a local company helping senior veterans with their increased mobility and mental challenges. Seniors Helping Seniors hires active veterans to provide care for their less active counterparts. I spoke with local owners Scott and Candy Mikowitz.
Our mission is to provide non-medical in-home care to seniors in our community to keep them happy, healthy, and safe in their home as long as we can. And we do that by providing a more mature caregiver. We're seniors helping seniors, so the majority of our caregivers are in their 50s and 60s. So it gives us an opportunity to put somebody in their home that can provide them with the personal care they need, but also to provide them with the much-needed companionship.
Candy, maybe you could describe the need for this service.
I was a CNA in my 20s, so I have a deep love for seniors, and it's just kind of something that's dear to our heart. But as much as I loved working with them in my 20s, it's different having a caregiver who is closer to your own age. You know, they connect a little more naturally with them. They're also able to really just kind of jump right in with the work, you know, like when someone who is taking care of their own household for 40 years sees a sink full of dishes, they're just going to get those dishes done, right? They just kind of know what to do. They see a need and they fill a need, and that goes a long way in helping with seniors who face a lot more mobility challenges, a lot more isolation, who just need help on all ends of the spectrum, right? For either because they're physically incapable of doing things, or just because they need that companionship, right? So it hits on all levels.
Scott, you are uniquely positioned to help care for seniors in this position. Kind of describe for us what this means to you and how that really changes how you help someone else.
So, you know, I am very service-oriented. I'm actually about to hit my 20-year mark in the Army. So, you know, I've been very service-oriented for a really long time. So has my wife, obviously, with her CNA work, and then, you know, caring for our family. And for us to be able to jump in and care and provide care and support on both ends of the spectrum, because not only are we supporting the seniors out in the community that need the help, but we're also hiring, you know, a kind of a less sought after group for employees. Like, we want 50s and 60-year-olds. We have 70-year-olds that are on staff that work as caregivers that are absolutely amazing people that just love and serve and they're just so fit for this position. We love it. So the opportunity to serve our community on both ends of the spectrum is just really, really special for us.
Describe maybe the unique needs of the seniors that you're providing service to. Maybe, Candy, you could do that.
Well, as we age, we all kind of decline a little bit, right? And at a certain point, their mobility starts to be affected greatly. They're not able to do simple things that we take for granted. Things like putting dishes away in cupboards that are above their head, or getting dressed. You know, like if you can't move your arm very well, then that can be tricky, or buttoning buttons. A lot of them are much less stable when they walk. And so they just need somebody nearby when they're walking around, or maybe getting in and out of the shower to make sure that they don't fall down. But in addition to that, their mental health is really greatly impacted by having someone around, and not just their mental health, but having a friend around, a companion, helps also with, the studies have shown it helps also with physical health, that their blood pressure is improved, their cognitive abilities are greatly impacted. Our bodies change and our needs change along with it, and having somebody there can really, really help to keep you as independent as possible for as long as possible.
Scott, describe for us what you've heard from those who have been receiving this kind of care.
We get a ton of feedback from our clients. Most are just so grateful that they have somebody that's going to look out for them and provide them with amazing care. We as the owners, we meet with all of our clients face-to-face in their homes. And we honestly, we make them promises. We tell them that we're going to make sure that they're respected and heard and validate and just that they're in charge of their care. We want to provide them the care that they need. And we get feedback constantly that they just appreciate it so much. Even if something happens with a caregiver, we have not had to cancel a shift. Caregivers get sick, right? We get the traffic in Utah is terrible. People get in accidents and things happen like that. And if somebody calls us and says, hey, I can't make it to my shift in 2 hours, we will get that shift covered. We don't cancel shifts. So we take the care of our clients extremely, it's very personal. We lose sleep over the care of our clients, and we just make sure that their care comes number one when we're making decisions.
Let's talk about the caregivers for a minute. What difference does it make in the lives of these caregivers?
A huge difference. One of our taglines is so it's seniors helping seniors, a way to give and receive. And that's absolutely what describes why we're all here, Scott and myself included. It's nice to get a paycheck, right? But it's even more fulfilling when you can do something that really makes you feel like you're making a difference in people's lives. These caregivers grow to really, really love their clients. In fact, it's hard on them when they get sick, they really they love them so much, and it's such a fulfilling calling for them. We find out all of the time that a caregiver has clocked out and stayed with a client longer, or we had a situation last year where the caregivers were with a client and they clocked out and then came back an hour later and picked them up and took them to a Halloween party. We want to build these relationships. When our caregiver gets to somebody's home and knocks on the door or rings the bell, we want our clients to feel excited that they have somebody that they enjoy in their home coming over to care for them.
Any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
We are just trying to do as much good in the community as possible. So the more people that we can connect with, the better, whether that's clients or, potential employees. So anybody who has any questions, we are an open book. We are always available for a phone call or a visit. They can visit us on our website. It's seniorshelpingseniors.com, and you can navigate to the Lehigh area or the Salt Lake or Utah County area, and reach out, and we'll talk to anybody. Family nowadays are looking for care for mom and dad. So we talk to a lot of kids. We talk to a lot of neighbors. We talk to a lot of concerned friends that are just looking out for people. And we want to provide that care as much as possible for as long as possible, and just take care of everybody in the community.
Scott and Candy Mikowitz are the Provo Sandy owners of Seniors Helping Seniors. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour: Elon Musk finishing his final day overseeing Doge, former college athletes making sports more accessible to people with special needs, and KSL traffic. Ricky?
A right lane still blocked with an injury accident southbound I-15 near Pleasant Grove in Utah County. Expect delays. Maria?
KSL's top local stories in 1 minute, but first, the latest from ABC News.
News. I'm Chuck Severson. More twists and turns in the U.S.-China tariff war leads to a mixed close on Wall Street for the major indexes. The Dow added 54 points, the S&P 500 losing about a half a point, the Nasdaq down 62. He's optimistic about his prognosis, says former President Joe Biden. He'll be taking a pill to treat his prostate cancer after a Memorial Day speech today in Newcastle, Delaware.
I feel good.
Have you decided on your treatment options?
Yeah, we have. We're underway, and all the folks are very optimistic.
Hundreds of thousands of migrants in the U.S. could be forced out soon. The Supreme Court today ruled that the government can move forward with its plans to end parole protections for many who fled Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela. Loretta Swit has died. She played Major Margaret Houlihan, head of nurses on the hugely popular war-themed TV comedy series MASH. She was 87. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. The Salt Lake City bar owner, owned by a man who previously tried to ban Zionists, was denied a new license. Department of Alcoholic Beverage Services had concerns that Michael Valentine could manage a bar. Valentine argued his application met all requirements.
I have not threatened any of you guys. I've threatened you with corruption and your negligence as a state body. You know, I've requested to meet the governor, who's too coward to even meet with me. I met with the legislature last week about this. We will hold you accountable, and a lot of you need to resign for what your actions here.
Valentine said in a video on Instagram that he plans to pursue litigation. Water managers are working on upgrades to the Colorado River to conserve more water. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
Much of Utah's portion of the Colorado River is in severe drought, and officials are now taking a $50 million grant from the federal government, using it to add technology that will better measure how much water is in the river, how much water is being used from it every year. Head of the Colorado River Commission tells me it's critical to have that information and navigate things like climate change and make the best decisions on how water is being used in the future.
The Colorado River has seen a 20% drop in the amount of water flowing through it since 2000, and it supplies our state with more than a quarter of all of our water. Over 20 Utah wildland firefighters are in Arizona right now fighting an outbreak of fires in our neighboring state. Battalion Chief August Foreman with the Utah Department of Natural Resources is among them.
You respond to an initial attack fire, I always call it the organized chaos. It's a fine dance that we as firefighters do.
He spoke with TV station KOLD, telling them the western states are working together to get a lot of work done quickly. The current Utah crew is scheduled to come home after the weekend. They will be replaced by another Utah crew. X is down right now for the third time this week. 16,000 users have reported an outage around 2:15 this afternoon. The main feed and individual accounts aren't loading. Elon Musk hasn't responded. Your money at this moment, the Dow ending the day up 54 points, sitting at 42,270. S&P down by just a fraction. The Nasdaq down by 62 points. We do have an emergency traffic situation, and traffic and weather is brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
This is in Utah County. An injury accident southbound I-15 near Pleasant Grove Boulevard had been blocking a right lane. They're getting ready to open that up in any moment now and move what's left of the crash over to that shoulder. However, we do have residual delays stacked up past Lehigh Main Street. This is going to take you an extra 15 to 20 minutes minimum to get through the backup. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Toasty weekend ahead. Today's high 91, 92 tomorrow, 94 on Sunday. A break on Monday, though, with a 60% chance of showers and a high of only 78 degrees. Right now, 86 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
GoPave Utah is your gold standard for parking lot paving and repairs. Contact GoPave Utah today. GoPaveUtah.com. GoPaveUtah.com.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
Attention passengers, we've reached 10,000 feet and internet is now available for purchase.
I just paid hundreds for this flight, and you can't even throw in internet? I'll just take the free pretzels.
Sorry, but I do have snack boxes for sale.
I'm just gonna sleep.
In that case, we are selling pillows and blankets as well.
I'll just breathe. That's free, right?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot, 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 and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh, yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
You were listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Outgoing head of Doge and current CEO of Tesla, Elon Musk, says that while he's stepping away now, he still expects the Department of Government Efficiency to achieve his earlier promise of delivering more than $1 trillion in cuts to the federal government. He and the president held a joint press conference today. In fact, it wrapped up just a short time ago. News Nation's Kelly Meyer was there, and she joins me now live to talk about it. So, Kelly, set the scene for us. What was the purpose of the press conference, and what was the mood there?
Yeah, it really was to mark really the end of Elon Musk's time as a special government employee. That title comes with a 130-day kind of expiry date, and he reached that. So this was his moment where he was leaving his work in that position. So this was kind of a farewell. It was a bookend on his time at the White House, but at the same time, it was almost like a continuation. He said that he would be back. The president said he doesn't think he'll be gone for long. He'll still serve as an advisor to the president, but for now, it sounds as though he is going back to his businesses and says that the work of Doge will continue.
Originally, Musk said that Doge would cut trillions of dollars in federal spending, and where did that number actually end up, or do we even know?
We don't really even know, because even the president in the briefing, or the press conference as he called it today, said that a lot of the results might not come for another year or two, is what he said, and that there could be more money coming in as a result of the work they're doing. So they made it sound as though this is going to continue. I think noticing that they maybe didn't meet the exact number they were planning on right away, and that they said this will take time. So the president even saying over the next 2 to 3 years, you could see more and more money being cut. So this will continue long after Musk leaves, he says.
Yeah, so Musk is walking away, or stepping back, maybe. What happens with Doge now? Who's running that? How does that all work?
Yeah, and someone tried to ask about that in the White House press briefing the other day, and we don't really know who is working on that behind the scenes. We know that Musk was this unofficial leader of Doge, but we don't know exactly who on the staff will be there. They said that much of the staff will remain, and Musk said today that it will only get, quote, stronger as it goes on, but we don't know who is really behind that. There hasn't been a lot of clarity or press or contacts for press to reach out to at that department, and his position was never even approved by the Senate, so he kind of went to those cabinet meetings here at the White House, but wasn't really a cabinet member. So it was a lot of unprecedented moments here with that, with Musk being in the administration, and a very unique position for him at this time.
In the early days of Doge, you and I talked about a lot of the controversy surrounding Doge and cuts that they were making, but we haven't heard a lot about Doge in the last bit, have we?
No, and it felt as though even Musk, it sounded as though as his companies were seeming to take a hit, he seemed to pull back a bit. The pushback, the protests on his companies like Tesla seem to work in the sense of the stocks went down. You saw people vandalizing his cars. So the people against Musk and his companies were successful in bringing some of it down. And he said, I'm going to have to return to my companies now. And I think that really shook him. And even just recently, even just this week, he kind of criticized the president's, quote, big, beautiful bill. And we tried to ask the president about that and the White House press secretary about that, and they really didn't go there. They wouldn't go as far to condemn him or criticize him. It was all, thank you for what you did, and you are great, and all of these things, but we don't know exactly what's happening behind the scenes.
Right. In the early days, we heard a lot about cuts to USAID and other departments. Do we know which cuts actually did stick?
Yeah, I mean, as far as we know, like the cuts to the obviously the Department of Education is something that they're completely working to gut and get rid of, basically down to a skeleton where there's nothing left, and then there's just no more department because only Congress can get rid of that. But they are completely gutting that, the Department of Education. The USAID is gone. What else have they been tackling? A couple other things. I think it has been working in terms of the reduction in staff. We've seen a lot of federal workers making their way out, especially as I live here in Washington, D.C. You can see that kind of exodus of federal workers. So they did kind of complete their mission in some sense, but definitely still seems as though they are continuing on and continuing with that effort.
We don't hear much about protests anymore. For a while there, we had like a protest every day at some of those government offices. Anything lately?
Sometimes, I think in D.C. you often find protests a lot, or protesters, even if there's just one or two outside of the White House or outside of a certain agency or building. So those continue, but not like we were seeing in terms of the first couple weeks, the first 3 months of the administration.
Right. You talked about the big cuts that we already know about. Is there something on the chopping block that we haven't talked much about?
Well, it sounds as though I just saw an update that they were doing more cuts at the Department of Defense. Pete Hegseth, the secretary there, put a post on X talking about how they were able to cut another $1 billion in programs, taking a look at some of the contracts they have with contractors or management that they don't need to go to these outside contractors, so they're trying to cut those back. So he just put out a video basically saying they're still working with DOGE. So I think looking at how they're going to cut this back, especially as they're trying to pass the president's big, beautiful bill and trying to look back on cutting the deficit. So I think we can expect to see some more news coming from that arena.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much for your help today. That is Kelly Meyer, News Nation's Washington correspondent. Midday with Maria Shilaos continues in just 60 seconds.
Pantheon Clinical Research is conducting a clinical study for children and teens. Is your child struggling with bipolar depression? If your child is between 10 and 17 years old and experiencing symptoms of depression associated with bipolar disorder, such as persistent sadness, loss of interest in activities, trouble sleeping, low energy, difficulty concentrating, or even suicidal thoughts, Pantheon Clinical Research may be able to help. We are ready to take your call anytime. Call our phone lines at Pantheon Clinical Research at 385-281-0550. That's 385-281-0550. We're conducting a no-cost clinical study for children and teens facing bipolar depression. Participants will receive study-related care, medical tests, and investigational treatment from a dedicated medical team, all at no cost and with no health insurance required. Call Pantheon Clinical Research today at 385-281-0550. That's 385-281-0550, or visit our website at pantheonclinical.com to learn more. Hope starts here.
Thanks for joining me on Midday. Making sports more inclusive for people of all abilities. It's the mission of a Utah group called It's Cool to Care. Founder Caroline Simpson says the goal of the all-inclusive sports night is to make activities more accessible to all people.
Sports are awesome. Sports have a cool way of bringing people together from all walks of life. And so that is what sports and It's Cool to Care really has similar. And so that's really why we're here today. It's Cool to Care is made up of around 30 and counting of us collegiate athletes. And so we all play college athletics from different varieties of sports, different states, but what we all have in common is the love and care for people. And so that is what It's Cool to Care is all about. So that is why sports are important. We love them, but we also love the people that we are surrounded with when we play them.
Last night, the group held the second annual all-inclusive sports event at Springville High School in Utah County.
So last year, this same exact day, we had our first annual It's Cool to Care night. So I'm from Springville. This is my high school. So we chose to do it here just as it was convenient, and hopefully it's kind of a middle spot for a lot of our friends to come and travel to. So last year we started with this event, and as we went throughout the rest of the summer, we helped other people with their events. So last summer we did a lot of, we had our hands and feet in a lot of other organizations' awesome events that they had going. So we were able to provide just our time and our efforts there with them. And that's what we plan to do again with this summer. So we have our first event here, but then we also have 4 other events that we're running with other local communities. And then we're also gonna help out at other existing events and try to help out there too.
Caroline says she's seen firsthand the impact that caring can have on communities and people.
When I think of It's Cool to Care and the impact, I think of just the simple reminders. In life, we all need reminders. And if we remind people that they're loved, they're seen, they're cared for, it's crazy the difference it makes. I've mainly seen a lot of this impact happen boldly in schools. When you're able to look at a school and maybe the issues of that school, what It's Cool to Care is able to do is we go into the school and we're able to share our message. And what it does is it brings positivity, it brings unity, it brings care, and care changes everything. So I've been able to see It's Cool to Care change schools, change teams, change individuals, change families, and hopefully as we keep and continuing to roll, it's going to change this world.
It's Cool to Care will hold another all-inclusive sports night coming up on June 4th in Cedar Hills. More information can be found on their Instagram. As we end the week, it's time to talk about some cool stuff in Utah. My conversation with the Arrow's John Smith next. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky, still in emergency traffic?
Not as bad. We are seeing improvement, but we still have the final cleanup of this earlier crash on southbound I-15 approaching Pleasant Grove Boulevard. Everybody is out of traffic to the shoulder. Residual delays back to Lehigh. Also an accident, and this is in the Mill Creek area, thanks to a KSL listener texting in. This crash is at the top of the on-ramp to southbound I-215's East Belt at 4500 South, a rollover accident. That ramp is blocked to traffic. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness, and Utah isn't immune.
With nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or some other form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. KSL has teamed with 988 Utah, the free suicide and crisis lifeline, to bring you hope and help you thrive.
If you or a loved one is experiencing a mental health crisis, call or text 988.
Because a healthy mind matters.
Join Ton and me tomorrow for the Greenhouse Show. It's in Grantsville for HGTV's hit show Rock the Block Block Party Weekend. You can enjoy tours of the 4 Rock the Block Season 6 homes.
Do you want to make your house more comfortable, more energy efficient, more valuable? Well, maybe it's time you took a look at your doors and windows. And there's nobody around who does doors and windows better than Peach Doors and Windows.
Improve the functionality of your home with custom replacement windows, entry doors, patio doors. Maybe you have a sunroom or you want a new custom front door and windows to maximize the beauty of your home. Peach offers flexible financing available to fit any budget. They've got expert installation, including fiberglass doors, which are their specialty. And they'll replace your windows with the highest energy efficiency rating.
And customer service is a top priority. It's the reason why they have so many 5-star reviews on Google. You can check it out for yourself. You can also check them out online at peachbuildingproducts.com. You can call for a free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255.
Or see them in person, 2940 South, 300 West in Salt Lake City. They're open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Go check out their beautiful showroom. It's Peach Doors and Windows.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does your job require you to be on your feet all day? Teachers, postal carriers, salespeople, and restaurant staff. Many of us need our feet to get us through the day. Hi, this is Mike with the Good Feet store, and I'd like you to hear from Donna. She's a nurse and a real customer of the Good Feet store who wanted to share her story.
Oh, I have to tell you, I have struggled with pain in my feet. I was diagnosed with plantar fasciitis. With the 3-step program, it really fits to your lifestyle. I work in a hospital. I'm a registered nurse, so being on my feet, walking throughout the hospital during the day, I am free from any type of pain. And after working a 12-hour shift, I go home and my feet do not hurt.
Whether you're a nurse or anyone wanting to enjoy work without your feet getting in the way, come see us at the Good Feet store.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Schedule your free test walk at goodfeet.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bundle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
The success you've already had matters at University of Maryland Global Campus because we're a school for real life. An accredited state university, UMGC lets you earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning, life, and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. Some dicey moments at the end of the Scripps National Spelling Bee for the eventual winner, Texan teen Faison Zaki. ABC's Sherry Preston with more.
The Scripps National Spelling Bee is in the books. The winner, 13-year-old Faison Zaki, almost blew his chance with this word.
Kamalina.
K-A-M... Oh, okay. Wait. Let me think. All the information?
Oh, boy. Kamalina. Kamalina.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Whatever. Just bring it. I'm sorry.
Whatever, just ring the bell. That answer was, in fact, incorrect and allowed 2 more competitors in, but Faison went on to win with this word.
Your word is éclaircissement.
Éclaircissement. E-C-L-A-I-R-C-I-S-S-E-M-E-N-T. Éclaircissement.
That is correct.
That was, in fact, the winning word. Faison wins a big trophy and a cash prize of $50,000. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
He knew he had it in the bag, and all I heard was eclair. Time for a look at the top tech trends of the day, including some changes to the popular ChatGPT. Here's Mike Dubusky.
From ABC News Tech Trends. Up until last week, OpenAI was missing something. Despite developing popular artificial intelligence software like ChatGPT,
they don't have a hardware partner, or they don't have a sort of hardware story compared to, companies like Apple, Google.
Wired's Julian Chikatu says the company recently acquired I.O., a new hardware startup. It was founded by Johnny Ive, the man who designed the iPhone, but Chikatu says they're likely working on a different kind of device for OpenAI.
I think whatever they come up with, at least for the first several years, will try and accent the smartphone.
And he says it comes as tech companies have been increasingly adding AI features to devices that people already have. like smartphones.
Will it still feel super relevant when our phones can probably do the same, if not a better job, plus be everything else we need it to be? And that, I think, ultimately is the thing that they will have to solve for.
With Tech Trends, I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
It's Friday, and that means time to talk about cool stuff in Utah with the Arrow's John Smith. And we start with the gorgeous building in Salt Lake.
The Art Castle. It's actually, I called it Rose Park, but then some people took issue and said that's not Rose Park. But so the actual address is about 9th West, 1st South, in the downtown area. Mm-hmm. And so the Art Castle, it was an LDS church house, and it's 120 years old. So you have this building that has this Gothic-style architecture. They have stained glass windows, and it is just absolutely enormous. Predates the Salt Lake Temple, and it was a church up until the mid-1970s. And then they were like, okay, well, we're going to build new churches now. This is and the old building kind of fell out of fashion. It was sold off and was privately used through the 80s, 90s, and 2000s as a recording studio. So you have a building that has housed some of the biggest artists in the world: Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton, Eminem, Taylor Swift has recorded in this building.
This is cool stuff.
Elton John recorded Can You Feel the Love Tonight for the Lion King soundtrack. John Williams recorded the Jurassic Park score in this building. And it's just kind of tucked away in the Salt Lake City neighborhoods. Not a lot of people know that it's there.
Okay, so you take us on this video tour, which is amazing. There's a hidden floor panel that rises to take us. Tell us about that.
The building is so bizarre. Like it's a building that they added on to so many different times over its use. Remember, they used this building for about 60 years as a church house. And, you know, churches back then were not just used on Sundays. They were gathering places. They were meeting houses. They were places of refuge during cold months. Families that didn't have heat could come and hang out at the church all day.
Refuge from something else if you have this hidden floor
Exactly.
panel.
Well, you never know, right? Back in the day. So you have all of these, you have vaults, and you have hidden staircases, and you have tunnels that go under the streets to other buildings that have since been closed off. But we explore the tunnels a little bit, and you can kind of see where they go and where they led. But people always talk about, are there tunnels under Salt Lake City? Yes, there are. You get to see some of them in this episode.
Okay. Were there gold bricks in that vault, though?
No. Bummer. The building itself has actually been abandoned for about 10 years. The recording studio left and went to Los Angeles. The building is sat empty and kind of fallen into disrepair. But now the Salt Lake City Arts Council, the Utah Arts Alliance, with the assistance of the Salt Lake City Corporation, they have taken over the building, and they have secured grants to refurbish and repurpose the building. So they're putting about $7 million into this building so that it can continue to be a really cool place here on the Salt Lake City landscape.
Okay, but they're going to keep the studios, recording studios, right?
At least one of them, yes.
Okay.
So, and people can go in and they can use these things to record their own movies or whatever.
But
and
a neat art space, right?
Art space, absolutely. There's a performance area with stages. There's recording studios. There's offices and stuff like that. So the Utah Arts Alliance will of course be in charge of what gets used and when. But it really is a fascinating building. So if you want a 6-minute long in-depth look at what's inside and what's underneath it, make sure you look us up on YouTube. Just look for 103.5 The Arrow, or Google Cool Stuff in Utah Art Castle.
Jeff Kaplan is with me. We're talking about the Art Castle in North Salt Lake, an old LDS church building that they're turning into an art space. And the cool thing about that was just these recording studios that are in there, and they're going to keep them. I had no idea there was anything like that.
It looks like a 64-channel board. This is state-of-the-art stuff for its time.
For its time. And the other cool thing is all the tunnels. You want to check out the video. Thanks so much for joining me this Friday. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News is next. Have a great weekend.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan, 86 in Salt Lake City. KSL's top story. The president's won a major court battle over immigration.
It's very important on immigration that we be able to get people out without having to go through a long court case.
Today, the Supreme Court cleared the way for the White House to send legal immigrants packing. Hundreds of thousands of them. We have team